So here, John and I are together for our first coaching session. We've obviously met
Yes, we are.
before, and I have to say, John, that your agenda was very challenging. It took me longer to prepare for this session than maybe, well, I can't remember since when.
I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Good. That's like what
It
I
was
like to
good. It
hear.
was good. And that helps me a lot to have a good agenda. First
Yeah.
of all, the ECQ test, the entrepreneurship test that you took, 69 is a pretty good score.
Hmm.
And I've gone through a lot of your material, and I really am impressed. And it takes a lot
Thank you.
for me to say that. So obviously, you know what you're doing. You're going to, I think, be a successful entrepreneur, but you're also experiencing some of the frustrations.
Yes, sir. That's
I
correct.
get
It's safe
that.
to say.
But just that was just a general comment. I
Thank you.
like
Yeah.
the material that you prepared. Um, the other thing is, how's the new baby doing?
Yeah, you know what? Mom and mother-in-law are over there, right? Like they're about 5 minutes away off the 400. I
Yeah.
live in Toronto, born and raised, and
Yeah.
you know what? I can work from here and they can be over there, and it's completely fine. I spend my evenings over there. So, but otherwise, mom and baby are doing great. I appreciate you asking.
What is your baby's name?
We named him Theodore. Theodore
Theodore.
Long. Yeah, we like
Very
the name
nice.
Theodore, named after the World War II wartime president,
Yes.
Theodore
Yes.
Roosevelt. So hopefully he's as resilient as he is.
Theodore's a beautiful name. Do you think he'll be called Ted?
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. My parents have trouble pronouncing his name, so so we just call him Theo for now.
Well, I like Theo better than Ted.
Okay, yeah. Ted reminds me of that funny bear from that movie.
Yeah, or Ted Talks, right?
Or Ted Talk. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't what Ted was he would every second word was, a four-letter word, right?
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Seth
I think
MacFarlane, right?
Theo's great. Can your
Yeah.
parents pronounce Theo?
I think so. I think so. Hopefully, I think it's just a matter of practice. But hey, they have him for life, so they gotta get used to it.
So I was wondering, I went through the
Yeah.
agenda, like I said, a couple of times,
Yes, sir.
very challenging. And I was wondering if we could start right at the end of it and talk about Upwork for a minute.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So I know Upwork, and I actually like the idea of you, doing some real estate pro formas for clients, right? I've seen your spreadsheets. They're way too complicated for me, but they're very good, right?
Okay. Sure.
Um, and I think, you said you might charge 500 to $1,000, to do some pro forma work. And and a lot of real estate investors, even quite big real estate investors, couldn't really build a pro forma that looks anywhere comparable to what you do.
Wow.
So I
Amazing.
think that's a good, sort of side hustle for you. And,
Hmm.
I call that a personal business for life.
Correct.
The initials you'll see me use from time to time is PB and then the numeral 4L,
Hmm.
PB4L, which
Hmm.
stands for personal business for life. And if
Hmm.
it's successful, that is something you're going to keep until you're an old man.
Hmm. Hmm.
A
Hmm.
personal business for life. I have a theory. I think everybody needs a personal business for life. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody. And
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and and the reason for that is if you do go and take the job at U of T, as the investment and development associate, right, which is a
Hmm.
possibility for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, one day you might leave that job, or you might get fired, or they might downsize and they might lay you
Hmm.
off, right? And so if you had a successful personal business for life, um, it's yours and yours alone. You don't have any debt on it. You don't have any partners, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's personal business for life.
Hmm.
And um, and like that's something that if everything else goes to hell in a handbasket, John can turn to and say, "Oh well, I've still got my personal business."
Yes,
For
sir.
me, my personal business for life is coaching. I
Yes, sir.
like coaching. It's a passion for me. I think you like being a financial analyst. I think it's something you're very good at. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
and so when you're 72 like me, you'll be able to still do great pro formas. In fact, they'll probably be even better by
Sure.
that time, right? Who knows
Sure.
what AI will help you do.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So, but I have a twist on it, okay? a thought for you.
Mhm.
And if you do some Upwork for people, and you charge them $500 to $1,000 for real estate pro formas, that's fine. But I think you should also offer coaching, so that you're not only preparing a pro forma for somebody, you're actually coaching them on how to do it themselves.
Okay.
You're teaching them.
Mhm.
And so what you might do in terms of pricing, you might say, listen, I'll charge you $1,000 to do a pro forma,
Mhm.
and I'll do them, and that will include, say, 3 revisions. Okay, so we're talking
Mhm.
pricing now, right?
Sure, sure.
So I'm gonna charge you $1,000 for the prep, and that includes 3 revisions. That would be a pretty typical offer. But what I would recommend to you is, I'll charge you $1,000 to prepare it, and including 3 revisions, and then for, I don't know, I'm just making up a number, for $600 a month,
Sure.
for 6 months, I'll coach you. That'll be 1 or 1.5 hours, uh, maybe 2 hours at the most per month, and I'll give you email and text support. Okay.
Sure. Mhm. Mhm.
And the reason for that is, I know you know what CMRR stands for, right?
I got it from you. Yeah.
Well, and just so for the recording, what does it stand for?
Committed monthly recurring revenue.
Which is the holy grail of every business. I don't care whether it's a tech business, a coaching business. If I was in
Mhm.
the donut business, I would go around, and I would find companies that want daily donuts.
Yeah,
And you say,
yeah.
listen, yes, your assistants, your executive assistant can come to my donut shop and buy donuts when you need them. But how
Mhm.
about this? I'll deliver them to you every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, so your
Yeah.
staff have something, a little sugar for the.
Sure, sure. Yes, sir.
Even
Yeah.
if I owned a donut shop, excuse me, I'd be looking for committed monthly recurring revenues.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
All right. And so I wanted to show you. I don't know if do you know who Miss Excel is?
No.
All right, I'll share my screen with you.
Okay.
This is a young woman. She's probably about your age. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Her name is Teresa Lamb. Um, uh, uh, sorry, that is the article's written by Teresa, but
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
young woman her name is Kat Norton, and she goes by Miss Excel on the internet. And by the age of 29, she built a business that brings in 2 million a year.
Amazing. Amazing.
Teaching people, guess what?
Excel.
Exactly. So I'm just going to go and look at this. So this is her. It doesn't hurt that she's an attractive person too. But John,
Sure.
you're a handsome dude, so there you go. So so she teaches
Sorry.
spreadsheet
Yeah.
tricks online, starting with TikTok. And I'm going to put this in the chat box for you. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just give me a second. I'll just put the link in there so you can have it, if you don't mind copying it out of the chat box.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think you should study what she has done.
Mhm. Mhm. Very good.
So let's see. She has some courses. She's had some 6-figure months by 2020.
Wow. Holy
One
smokes.
one time she made $100,000 in a day. I could learn something from her.
Yeah, that's
To go
insane.
make 100,000 in a day. Um, and anyway, I don't want to go on and on about it, but I really like the idea of you teaching, coaching, mentoring, uh, providing courses,
Okay.
and so rather than one-offs, which is fine, you'll do some one-offs. People
Mhm.
say, "Hey,
Mhm.
listen, I got $1,000. I need some help on this. Just do this for me, John."
Yeah.
That that's fine. You get $1,000, great.
Mhm.
But the idea is to maybe have some courses, maybe some, you can develop some online courses. But again, I want to emphasize, your personal business for life is something, it has no debt, you have no partners, and it's yours forever. So if everything else goes to hell in a handbasket. I mean, if you could make $100,000 a day, maybe you forget about the everything else.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying you could do that, but you could make, I think you could make $10,000 a month doing that, right?
Wow. Holy smokes.
I mean, you only need 10 one-off clients to do that.
Yeah.
One of my daughters, she does, TikTok and Insta videos for her business, and she'll get anywhere from, 4 or 5,000 views to, I think her number one video is about 500,000 views.
Cool.
So I mean, these are attractive young women, so that does help.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But still, you're a professional and I am as well.
Mhm.
So, my YouTube videos, they might get 5,000 views, but if it's 5,000 of the right views, that's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Sounds good, coach.
what
Yeah.
I'd like you to do is also, let's think right now of what you might call this new business. What's a good name for this? And you can't call yourself Miss Excel.
Yeah. Mr. Excel.
You could be Mr. Excel. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's an idea that I thought about, but haven't really given it much thought. But if I could
Well, we're
call
going
it,
to talk about it right now. Think about it for a moment.
yeah. Okay.
So what comes to mind?
Um. mm, what about
Hang on a second. Hang on. I got something
yeah.
for you. I just went to GoDaddy.
Okay.
You can buy Mr. Excel. You can buy MisterExcel.ca
For a
for 1
penny.
cent.
That's
For
so
okay.
funny. She's gonna come find me. I know that.
I beg your pardon?
She's gonna come find me, whoever this lady is.
I don't think so. I mean, if you're Mr. Excel,
Yeah.
you could also be MisterExcel.net, which would be a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll put this
Sure.
in the chat box too. I mean, so naming something, John, is extremely important. So grab that,
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
uh, you know, grab that out of the chat
Yeah.
box.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So, so when you're naming something, you come up with a name and you check if the domain is available. And if
Yeah.
you had MisterExcel.net and MisterExcel.ca, those would be pretty good domains.
Hmm.
The other thing is that you need a tagline. Okay.
Okay.
So in my coaching practice, the name of my business, for better or worse, is Prof Bruce.
Yes.
You see me, that probably has come up in a number of places that you've already seen.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
my students going back 20 years ago when I was teaching at the Sprott School of Business, they don't call you professor anymore. They call you often by your first name. Now,
Hmm.
50 years ago, 100 years ago, you'd never do that. It was always
Yeah.
professor,
Hmm.
sir, doctor. But it's a more casual environment now, which I think is fine. But they used to say, refer to me as Prof Bruce.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the name of my coaching practice. And my tagline is making impossible possible.
That's right. That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
So I'm not saying you should use Mr. Excel, but if you decided to use MisterExcel.net
Yeah.
and .ca, you would also need a tagline. You understand what like what's
I do. I do. I do. Yeah. 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 That's something quick that comes to mind.
What's Nike's tagline?
Just do it.
What's Apple's?
I don't know apples.
Think different.
Think different. Okay.
What's Coca-Cola?
Uh, what is Coca-Cola's?
It's the real thing.
Okay. Is that it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
real thing.
Okay.
So most people know Nike, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you would need something, and with taglines, you want to try and be a little bit funny,
Yeah.
maybe, but you also want it to have some one or two,
Hmm.
maybe two or three different meanings.
Good.
So I own, John, I'll just put it up on the screen here, and I still own it. I owned a company called Blue Heron Storage.
Yep, I read about that in your book.
Yeah, corporation. I still own it. And you know, it was in the mini storage business and your parking business and what have you.
Mhm.
And its tagline, which I still like, was I don't know.
That's a good one because because it was remote, right?
Well, I'll just make it a little bigger. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So you wouldn't know this because you're far too young to know it, but back in the '60s, you know,
How did
you know, in the '70s, you know, hippies would go around and say, you know, hey man, out of sight.
Yeah,
They would say things like far out,
yeah, far out. Yeah,
far
yeah,
out,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
out of sight.
yeah.
You know, they're mostly
Sh-
stone.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Must have had some
I
stoners,
I
but
still say that, but whatever.
you know, you must have had some stoners in your high school.
Yeah, 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 absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sure you did. Well, we had too.
Yeah,
I wasn't one of them. I was
yeah.
never a hippie.
Okay.
You know, not that I don't care if somebody's a hippie, but I like the phrase, you know, far out and out of sight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I adopted it for Blue Heron, and everybody laughs at it because for those who know the expression, out of sight just means fabulous, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And also, you notice I used SITE as opposed to SIGHT.
correct.
That's because it's off of your site onto our site.
Yes,
And
correct.
also because it's out of your site and onto our site.
Hmm.
So it has probably three meanings,
Good.
right? It's fabulous. It's off of your property and onto ours,
Hmm.
and it's no longer visible, right? So three meanings.
Hmm. It's short, it's quick,
Yeah.
people can remember
So
it.
it's maybe not quite as well known as Just Do It,
Hmm.
but it's a good tagline.
Good.
All right. So let's think about for one more minute. We've got Mr. Excel. I'm not saying you'd use it, but if you did, that's a fine name. Nothing wrong with that. And what would be a great tagline?
I like uh shortcuts because when you do Excel financial modeling, you do a lot of Excel shortcuts, right? So I think shortcuts is good to put in. So shortcuts to uh intelligent decision making, or that's a little long, but uh shortcuts to uh short to insights, whatever. We can fix that later. Sure. Sure. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's good. I like that.
Mr. Excel, shortcuts to success. I like that. I was wondering whether you do shortcut to success or shortcuts to success. I think it's plural. I think you're right.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So I got to save this for you. Hang on. So this
Yeah.
is typical of a coaching session that I do. It's supposed to be a bit creative and interactive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I like it.
All right. So I'm going to save it in your, whoop, what the hell? Where did it save
Oh.
to? Oh, I hate that. I really don't want to save it to OneDrive. OneDrive is hopeless. You,
Yeah, no, same. Yeah, man.
it is another piece of crap.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back here. It screwed up. I don't want to save it. Look at that. It's in some kind of random.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Never find it.
100%. Yeah, man.
So let's go to John. You'll
Wow,
see.
look at all those students. Holy smokes, man.
I got 2,600 of them now.
Holy shit,
Yeah,
man.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
You
It's
look at
too.
all those Johns you have.
Yeah. So look at how you
Wow, look at that.
know, this is
Amazing.
administration, the agenda, business plan,
Wow,
clarity
wow.
call, your ECQ test, your personal
Yeah,
balance sheet, readings I've given you, this should say slide decks, but
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Spreadsheets, Square, I guess that's credit card
yeah,
program,
yeah, 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 yeah.
what interest you, et cetera. And now we're gonna have another one here, marketing,
Okay.
and we're gonna call, oh, shoot. We're gonna save it, and we're gonna save it as, Mr. Excel. sorry, name, URL, domain,
Mm,
tagline, and then it'll be 2024 August. All right.
mhm. Sounds good.
So one of the things I do is I am a fanatic for filing. And the reason I do that is
Yeah.
you could call me in 2 years, assuming I'm still around. Um,
Don't say that.
I hope to be,
Yeah.
but assuming I'm still around, and John might want, maybe you lost something, a file, like all of this is backed up, not on
Yeah.
OneDrive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
and I'm able to find it. The computer's the other half of my brain, and I give every file like really good, really good names.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just going to put in here, MisterExcel.ca is available, and I would go with MisterExcel.net. I think those would be, and for
Cool.
me, .net would be the main domain,
Why?
because I expect you'll have a number of American clients.
Okay.
And, Americans are very patriotic, most of them, right?
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
So
hmm.
what I would do is my primary, I'm sure you know how to do this, but just in case you don't, I would have this MisterExcel.net would be my primary, and if somebody puts in MisterExcel.ca, it would resolve to this site.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Do you
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, like a forwarding. Yeah.
It forwards, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you buy it, MisterExcel.net is your primary address. And of course, .net is a very powerful name for people who have a technical background.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Very
The
good.
original intent of .net was to support, the technical side of the internet.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
Okay.
hmm, hmm. Very good, sir.
So
Yep.
that's a very, very strong. Listen, for $20 and for a penny, I would grab those.
Yeah. Very good.
All right. Clear as mud.
I've read a lot about the whole fee hedge personal business for life in your books. I've spent the last 4 days reading a lot of your books.
Well, that's nice. Thank you.
And I mean, mostly because I don't have a job, so I can do whatever the fuck I want
Well,
to
you
do.
have a job.
But
Your job
yeah,
is to find a job.
yeah, exactly, right. But this is all part of it, right? And I've
Yep.
read the majority of the content which you sent across.
That's
I've
incredible. Thank you for
and
that.
yeah, I've learned a
But
lot.
I thank you. That's very kind of you to say. What I have to tell you, if you were coaching me and we were talking about, Upwork and this personal business for life, and I like the idea. You don't have to do anything. I'm here as your coach, hopefully as a friend as well.
Sure.
You're the decision maker, not me. But if you like what we're talking about, the first 20 minutes here or so, somebody like me, I would implement this within 48 hours.
Hmm,
Okay.
hmm, hmm,
And
hmm.
one of the things you could do is you could create a landing. Do you know how to create a landing page?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I just did it for new pension.
Yeah. So, you would create a landing page. That would be the first thing that I would do. I would buy the domains, obviously.
Yeah.
Create a landing page. Then I would create a Facebook page, right? Mr. Excel.
Hmm, hmm,
And I would obviously connect the two, right?
hmm.
And the next thing you need to do, in addition to going on Upwork, which is fine, you put your offer on Upwork, you need to find something called a magic marketing button.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
No.
I got one right here.
Was easy.
Very good.
That was easy.
You know what this is, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's Staples Easy Button.
This comes from Staples.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And the reason I mean it's stupid when I mean it's silly, right?
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
reason I'm showing this to you, John, is that every business, I don't care whether you're IBM or you're SpaceX or whatever, Tesla, you need to have what I call an MMB, magic marketing button, where you press it and you get more customers.
Hmm.
And I need you to think about that. I want you to write down those three initials,
Yes.
MMB.
Yes. Yep. Right here. Yeah.
And, your landing page is useful, and a Facebook page is useful, and Upwork is useful. And we don't know right now what is the magic marketing button for you. We don't know. That's something we have to find out. But one of the programs that I think might be very successful, if you want to do it, would be, in addition to the primary offer, you might consider making an offer to kids, young people in high school and university, because they struggle with spreadsheets. And so you would say, look, for anybody who's in high school or university, I've got a half price offer, right?
Sure.
And I'll teach you everything you need to know about, spreadsheets. And those people, you're still a young man. Those people, some of my students are turning 50, right? So, I mean, those people that you're teaching now in high school and university, 5 years from now, they'll be, in business or in government. And they'll go, oh, geez, I really need John's help. And then, of course, they'll pay full price then.
Right.
So,
Good.
and there's no amount of money that parents won't spend to help their children.
Absolutely.
Do you understand?
I
So
understand.
what you might do is you might offer students a special rate. I'll bet you MisterExcel does that, and say, listen, if you're struggling with spreadsheets in high school or university, no problem. I'll help you. Get your parents to pay for it, but it'll be half price. I'm just saying that could be a magic marketing button. The other thing that you might do is you might put your offer on a few other sites like Kijiji. You know Kijiji, right?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you might use Kijiji in the States. There is no Kijiji in the States. It's Craigslist. And I'm not sure where else you might put it, but you should think about, and you just try a lot of things and you'll find that 1 or 2 work and 5 or 6 don't. Right? So you got to find something that you do a little bit of advertising. Going back to Blue Heron storage, one of the things we did, I don't know if I have any of them here, but we used to print up little postcards, this size. And I have my on-site manager, he lives on the site in a house next to a bunch of storage buildings. Whenever we would have a few vacancies, he'd go to all of the houses and the offices and industrial plants around this particular location. He dropped off 3,000 postcards, which would cost about 20 cents each. They were nice looking, two-sided. And we were constantly at 92 to 94% occupancy.
How big was the population in that area?
So Blue Heron Storage is in Canada, which is the west end of Ottawa. It's a big tech center.
Yes, it is.
And Canada back then, when we started, had about 110,000 people.
Okay.
And it had 30,000 tech workers. And the one thing that we found is every business in the area and every homeowner in the area had too much stuff. Right? So my on-site manager, wonderful guy, his name was Bert Larange. Bert would get in his old jalopy of a car and he would go around the neighborhoods and he would go to these business parks and industrial parks, and he would drop off these postcards, and he was friendly with a lot of people. And so if we had 10 or 20 mini storage places vacant, he'd drop off another 1,000 cards, they'd fill up. Right. So our magic marketing button wasn't complicated.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Now, the question is, where do you find the real estate investors? Pro formas. I'm not talking about investors. I'm talking about this personal business for life. Mr.
Oh, okay.
Do you know RAIN?
Yep.
The Real Estate Investors Network.
Yep.
They probably have a newsletter. You could probably advertise in their newsletter.
Okay.
So one of the things that I did when I started my coaching practice, my real estate coaching practice, was I went to a bunch of the BIAs and chambers of commerce. You know what a BIA is?
A Business Improvement Association.
Very good. And I would put a little ad in there, you know, Prof Bruce, making impossible possible, a little picture of me.
Yeah.
You know, and say, listen, if you're interested in learning more about real estate investing, you know, I do some coaching. Here's my cell number. You can text it. Here's my email address. Email me anytime. And that's how I found my first 6 coaching clients. You know, I think I paid for the first ad I did, I think I paid $150 for it. And I got 6 coaching clients. And that's how
Wow.
I started my business.
Wow. Wow.
Right? And
Very good.
I think I told you that I started the coaching practice because I actually, as I was getting ready to retire from the University of Ottawa, I got some help from a life coach, right, for about 6 months, 5 or 6 months anyway. And she
Yeah.
was the one who suggested I might be a good real estate and business coach. And as soon as she said that, I said,
Wow.
oh, I kind of like that idea. And so I did all the things that I just told you about. You know,
Wow.
I thought about my offer. I had a very primitive website up within probably 48 hours. I thought, where's my magic marketing button? It turned out to be a newsletter. It was actually the Canada newsletter. The BIA back then had about 20,000 names on their email list. Obviously, they're not going to give you or me their email list.
Right.
That's
Right.
illegal. But you know, for 100, maybe it was $175, but for less than $200, I put an ad in. I got 6 coaching clients, and I was off to the races.
48 hours. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to do it in 48 hours, but
Mhm.
you know, you said it, not me.
Yeah.
Your job is looking for a job, so
Yeah.
you know,
No kidding.
I think you could have a Facebook page up in, you know, in a couple of hours.
Yeah, no, you know what? Especially with AI, they can write all your copy for you.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it's like that, right?
So what I would like to see if you decide to do this, and don't do it because I'm suggesting it,
Yeah,
do it
yeah, yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
if you
Yeah,
want to do it.
yeah.
But if you do decide that, yeah, I'm going to give this a shot, then if you set up a Facebook page, if you set up a landing page, and if you do some, you know, advertising, Facebook Marketplace, I think we'll find you some clients. You know, probably Upwork will find you some clients. Send me the link so I can read the ads and I can read
Okay.
the landing page, and you know,
Yes,
because
sir.
I'll comment on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The way to make this coaching thing work for you and for me is to integrate me a little bit more into your workflow.
Mm-hmm.
So I ask people not to call me every day because you know, I
Yeah,
just
yeah, of course, of course.
2,500 calls every day.
Of
I
course,
couldn't
of course, of
anyway.
course.
But I can handle quite a few emails. So if you email me the link, say, Bruce, I just put up my Facebook page. Can you have a look at it? I will do that.
Okay. Very good, sir.
All right. Now, one more thing before we get to the next
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah.
We got to set some goals here. How long do you think it'll take you to find your first 3 clients?
Well, this is a commodity product, so I would hopefully not more than a week. I would hope.
But let's say it is now August 7th. Let's say by August 31, okay, lots of time, John will have his first 3 clients. That's your goal. Okay. If you get
Very
5,
good.
that's
Very
great.
good. Very good.
But
Very good.
at least 3, okay? And I'm going to tell you something else I want you to do. It's corny, but I want you to do something like this. I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, a lot of stuff I teach is simple. I want you to put on a piece of paper. Can you read it?
N equals 3, August 31st, 2024.
I want you to just get a blank piece of paper and just handwrite it.
Yeah,
And
right here.
I want you to, you know, like Scotch tape.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
every day from now until the end of August,
I love it.
and you're going to
I
see
love that. Yeah, I love that.
every
Yeah,
day.
it's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah.
So do you understand that when you internalize these things, have you ever heard about The Secret?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I know it's corny,
Manifesting, man. Yeah, right. Yeah.
but you send out a signal into the universe. I am going to teach
Yeah.
people to yes, exactly.
No.
I'm going to teach people so that they can master something they're struggling with. I'm going to help people. So I don't want you to think about this as if I have 10 clients, at $1,000, I'm going to make 10,000. I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about, if I had 10 clients, how much good I could do in helping them
Of
be more
course, of
successful
course,
at school, be
of
more
course.
successful in their jobs. All right.
Okay,
And I want you to write that down right now.
okay.
The mission statement. Do you understand what a mission statement is?
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
know,
sir.
John, you're super smart. So, your
Yeah.
mission statement is to help students be more successful at school and to help people be more successful in their jobs or in their businesses. Okay. And you're going to help them be more successful because that's what we talked about. That's your mission, to help them be more successful by mastering spreadsheet skills, which will be very valuable to them now and in the future. That's your mission statement.
Good.
So if you send out into the universe, I need $10,000 a month, you're going to get nothing.
Yeah.
Into the universe, I am going to, and
Of
this,
course.
my mission, I'm sure Miss Excel, if she was on this call, would tell you her mission is to help, and especially women, but men as well, young men, young women. She would say, my mission was never to make $100,000 in a day. My mission was
To
to
help people.
educate people and
Absolutely.
help them be more successful in their lives, in their personal lives, in their investing, understanding finance,
Yeah.
being more successful investors, being more valuable at work, right?
Yeah.
Impressing
Yeah.
your boss, getting a promotion. So if you think about yourself as a helping professional, write that down to helping professional, and you send that out into the universe, and you put that on your Facebook page, and you put that on your landing page. Here's my mission statement.
Dr. Bruce, what do you think about like other people doing it? Like there has to be at least, I don't know, 500 people doing this within the GTA too,
That is
right?
a great, great, great point. Okay, so that's the next thing we have to talk about. Sorry about we're taking so much time on this, but as
No,
soon
no,
as I
no.
saw that, John, I said, I think John can make 10 grand a month, and that'll just ease things for yourself. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
so what is your differentiated value? What makes you different from everybody else?
I think what really makes me different is that I have construction experience. I'm not just, I do have a very strong corporate accounting, corporate finance background. But how many analysts have worked on the job site, right? How many analysts have seen buildings fall down? And I think,
Wow. Have you actually seen a building fall down?
absolutely, absolutely. We
You
used to
put
do a
that
lot
on.
of demo. Yeah.
Okay, stop right there. Put that on your landing page.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, put it under,
Yeah.
you say right there, how many people who are teaching you spreadsheets, how
Yeah.
many people have construction experience? How many of these analysts have finance skills? How many of them have actually been on a job site and seen a building fall down?
Fall. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you should put all of that there. This is
Good.
incredibly beautifully put, John. All right,
Very good.
what else makes you different?
Um, I think real estate, right? Like a lot of analysts, they're all into like the white collarness and they're really into, oh, look at me, I make a shit ton of money, I have this amazing corporate bonus. But you know what? I'm really not like that, right? Like I have worked on the job site for 5 years, um,
Beautiful.
and I'm really passionate about real estate, and I don't think it's a very hard science. I think real estate's a people business, but I think what will take students and professionals to the next level is if they can marry both the analytical side to a case study with real life experience.
Write that down
Hmm.
right now.
Okay, very good, very good,
That was
very good.
beautiful. I mean, that was fantastic. Okay, just write that down. Don't say anything else until you've got it all down.
Okay.
All right, now we got to think for another minute about the differentiated value, and write down in two big letters DV.
Okay.
That is incredible. That was a great question that you asked. Differentiated value, right?
Hmm.
So what is what else can we bolt on to your Mr. Excel practice that makes sense? Now, just hang on a second. I'll give you an example. I coach a young man. He's, I think, even younger than you. Very, very smart, just like you. His first name is Armin. And he runs a very, very successful appraisal practice in Ontario. He'll do real estate appraisals. And he's hired a few people to work with him and for him. And one of the things I said to Armin is, how do you differentiate what you do from all the other appraisers out there? Because there's quite a few.
Yeah, there are a dime a dozen, yeah.
There's a lot of them. Now, he doesn't do residential. He only does commercial.
Okay.
Commercial, industrial, that sort of stuff, institutional as well. But he won't, if you have a house, he'll refer to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
He and his crew don't do
Yeah.
that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but his appraisals cost anywhere from $3,500 to $10,000. A house appraisal, I think you can get for $600, right? So he would just refer that and get $100. So I said and we worked through his business and the business model, and we talked about differentiated value. Part of his differentiated value is that they don't do residential appraisals. I mean, they'll do multi-res, but they wouldn't do a house. They would do a duplex or a triplex, an eightplex, 10plex, something with a couple of hundred units for sure, but not
a single family home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I said to him, there is something else that you could do. You could bolt on, add on, that would give you a tremendous amount of differentiated value. For an additional fee, you can do something I call property animation and analysis reports. I call them PAAN reports. I don't know if I've got it here. I'm sure I've got a million of them on my computer. I'll show you what they look like if I can find it.
Yeah, please.
Just because I want you to be thinking about what else can we add, bolt on to your project. And I think I've already got one idea that just popped into my head here. Whoop. Okay. So and I do them as well, right? So you'll see the cover here in a second. So I do these PAAN reports, and his company is going to do them as well. So a property animation analysis and report, how to boost your property's returns and values. I teach something called animation, right?
Correct. Yep.
And it's not Disney animation, that. Not that Disney, anything wrong. But it's how to, almost nobody in the coaching practice, real estate coaching practice, understands what I do, right? There are other coaches, and some of them are probably quite good. Many of them are terrible. But I don't think there's anybody else out there that specializes, and this is my differentiated value, specializes in looking at a project, whether it's a duplex, a triplex, a commercial project of any scale. How do you boost revenues? I do that. And I said, you can teach, because I've been teaching Armin and now his crew the animation ideas. And I said, for an extra $1,500 or $2,500, you could do this. So he said, oh my God, that is great. And he will create his own format for this, and I said, you can use the PAAN name if you want to. So one of the bolt-ons for a spreadsheet would be the second idea that you had, which is if you had your mortgage broker's license. You could say, listen, I'll not only help you with your performance, I'll help you with your financing. I bet you there's not too many spreadsheet guys out there who do that.
That's correct. I used to work for BDC for 2 years as an account manager. I saw you had an account manager on one of your podcasts too. I used to be one of those guys.
But listen, I'm just saying that, to become a realtor, I've got my broker's license. It's quite involved, I don't know, there's 6
It is very involved, yeah.
Or it takes a couple of years, I did it in my 50s, and I'm glad I did it. I actually like being a realtor, and and again, for me as a realtor, I feel it's a helping profession. Again, if I go into being a realtor saying, I'm going to make all kinds of money, I probably would have had, very few clients.
Correct.
And I don't want to over dramatize the secret idea, but I really think people, when they get to know me a little bit, as you are now, they realize that I really try and help.
You do. Yeah.
Whether I'm coaching somebody or I'm working with them as a realtor, I try and help. And so I think, most realtors think of a client as a transaction. They see a client walking down, they don't actually see John's face.
They see money.
They see a dollar sign walking.
Yeah.
They help you buy a house and they go, great, I made some money. That's it. For me, I see somebody walking by and I say, these people really need a house, or they need, an office, or they need an industrial condo, or they need something to help them, build their portfolio, build their lives. And if you take that attitude, which I'm sure you will, that would be great. So one of the things you could do, similar to what Armin is doing, is you could bolt on a mortgage brokerage.
Good, very good.
And
I like that idea.
And I would also think that you might also add another element to it. You might, and that is, I'll show you how to improve your revenues on your real estate project. You could do PAAN reports.
PAAN reports.
Do you understand?
I understand. Yeah.
Because once you have done a pro forma, you probably understand the project pretty well.
Yeah. Line by line.
Line by line. And you might say, listen, in addition to that's another differentiator. I'll bet you there's a lot of people who can do spreadsheets, but have no idea how to improve revenues. And I'm talking about the cost side. So I'm going to send you a PAAN report. Hang on a second. Let me go back here. All right, John. Now, my PAAN reports are ridiculous. They're like,
I love it.
Way too long.
Okay.
And what I said to Armin is, don't do what I do. I write a friggin' book. I would want, if you were going to add a mortgage brokerage to this thing and you're going to add PAAN reports, and they would be for additional fees, right? That it's not free.
Of course.
You would create your own PAAN report, right? And
okay.
And it would be, maybe 6 or 8 or 10 pages, not 70 pages, right?
Right.
All right. So I'm going to send you that one. I just sent you one there. All right. Because John, you're a super smart guy, and in this personal business for life, if you're Mr. Excel and you're helping people if they want with their mortgages, with financing, and you're helping them understand that financing and revenues are tied, right? If your revenues are very low, it's difficult to get the kind of financing that you need these days, right? So those would be very valuable skills and very valuable services. So see if you could put all of that on a Facebook page and a landing page without it being too cluttered.
Yeah.
And go from there. All right.
You got it, sir. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds great.
Now I want to show you, if I could find it on my computer. Yeah, I want to show you. So this is relevant both to Mr. Excel and it's relevant to your real estate objectives. Okay, so I'm going to show you something that I'm working with a young man. His name is Alex Loong, and he'd be a couple of years older than you, so in the same age range. And I'm going to share my screen with you. So you should be able to see here. This is a property in a small town called Rockland, Ontario. And it's about 13 acres in total. All right. Can you see it here?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I'm just going to go down a few more slides and see if there's maybe there's no, I don't think it shows the whole property. Sorry about that. No, it doesn't. Maybe up here. Well, it doesn't matter at this point. All right, so let me describe what happened here. And this might be relevant to you on the real estate side, but also with Mr. Excel. Hang on, I gotta just write it down. Where was it? All right. I'm actually going to get out of this and I'm going to go to Google Maps for a second, just because
Sure.
that'll help us. So I'm just going to share a different screen with you, John. So this is Ottawa here.
Yep.
That's Ottawa. Have you ever been in Ottawa?
Of course, yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
And across the river is a town in Quebec called Gatineau.
Yeah.
Gatineau's growing at a fantastic rate. I mean, it used to be maybe 100,000 people. It's now well over 300,000. And
Wow.
Ottawa has about 1 million people. So obviously we're not Toronto scale, but still it's about 1.3 million. Around Ottawa, you have towns called Kempville, Carleton Place, somewhere up here is Arnprior, Renfrew. Down here, as you know, is sort of Kingston and Brockville. So the area has about 2 million people. Again, much, much smaller than Toronto. So Rockland is about 35 or 40 kilometers east of Ottawa. So here's the town of Rockland. And this particular site is a site that my client, I'll just go to the satellite view. I'll focus in here. So this is a highway here, Highway 17. It's quite a busy road. And I'll just, if you can see my cursor moving,
Yep. Yeah, I
the
can.
entire site is about 20 acres and it is zoned highway commercial. Okay. So my client, Alex Loong, and it's highway commercial, but it's also got a really good industrial zone to it. Okay. And my client is going to retain the back portion here, which is about 13 acres for his new company called GetSpace.ca. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Because he's in he's going to have mini storage buildings, he's going to have workshops, he's going to have contractor yards, he's going to have parking. He doesn't really need frontage and he doesn't want frontage. You already know that industrial users prefer not to be seen.
Correct.
Right? They don't want to be hassled.
Exactly.
If they've got sea cans moving at 10 to 7 instead of at 7, they're hoping that there's no neighbors who are going to complain. You're not really supposed to make, those beep, beep, beep noises before
Correct.
7 or after sometime in the evening. I don't know what the time is in the evening, but I know before 7, you're supposed to be very quiet. Well, industrial guys, sometimes they cheat a little bit. So they certainly don't want visibility. So when I was talking to Alex, I said, Alex, you should retain this 12 or 13 acres back here, but the highway frontage, you don't even need. In fact, frankly, you don't want. So what we did was we severed off a piece right here, which is about 3.5 acres, and another piece here, which is about 3.5 acres, and we put those up for sale.
How long does it take to sever a lot? And sorry to cut you off.
That's a great question. So the total was about 20 acres, and it cost about $10,000 or $11,000 to have these two properties surveyed and to hire a lawyer and a planner and a coach and go to the committee of adjustment. You know what a committee of adjustment is?
Yes, sir, I do.
It's also sometimes called a land division committee. So it cost about $11,000 or $12,000 to prepare the documentation, the survey, and all the other things that we needed to do, and to go to the committee of adjustment. The entire process from the beginning to the application and then the hearing and then the approval was about 4 months.
4 months.
Now, the good news here, John, is that you are allowed under MLS rules, under the multiple listing service rules, you are allowed to put property up on MLS for sale that is subject to severance. So I didn't have to wait, I was helping Alex as his coach, and in this case, also as his realtor. He asked me to do it, and I said I'd be happy to help him, because I've probably done more land sales in this area than pretty much anybody else as an individual.
Sure.
So he bought this 20-acre property for $675,000.
Wow, man. Wow.
And we put this up for sale. We had this one up for sale, I think around 450,000, the one on the corner, and we got a number of offers, and he sold it over asking, which was about, he just closed that about 500 grand. So he got 500,000 for this piece.
Wow. Good for him.
This one is up for sale also. I think we've got it listed for sale around 350 or $400,000. So between these two properties, this one has been sold and closed. This one has not yet been sold, but between the two of them, he'll probably end up with about $850,000 or $900,000 on a property he bought for $675,000.
Wow, good for him.
For his land back here, John, will probably be a negative $200,000.
Mhm.
Okay, you understand what a negative cost is, right?
Remind me.
So if you bought something for $675,000, severed off two pieces and made back $900,000, what would your cost of your land be on your books?
600 grand.
No.
675? No.
No, you bought it for the whole piece for $675,000, and you sold two pieces, small pieces, for $900,000. Your cost, a negative cost is really a profit.
Okay.
All right. So essentially he made a profit of about 200 grand.
Okay.
All right. So that's what I mean by negative cost. All right. And that is a form of bootstrap capital or self-capitalization. All right.
Okay.
So $675,000, he forked out that money. He's got $500,000 in his bank account a couple of weeks ago now, and the other one I'm sure will sell this summer or fall.
Mm-hmm.
So his cost for buying land will be a negative number, which is a good thing, right? Because even if you make $1 on something that costs you zero or negative, your internal rate of return is virtually infinite, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Right. So he could sell that 12-acre parcel or 13-acre parcel, retained parcel, probably for $1 million, and just walk away with $1.2 million and go and party in Las Vegas for a while.
Exactly.
But that's not what he's going to do. All right. But that's a form of self-capitalization. I've got another young person I coach who's doing industrial development in Collingwood.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, northwest of Toronto.
North, yep, correct. Yeah.
And he's doing exactly the same. The numbers there are much more expensive. Like
way more expensive. Yeah.
He's paying like $1.5 million an acre, but he severed off two pieces because guess who's coaching him? And he sold the smaller pieces for the equivalent of $2.5 million an acre.
Wow, good for him.
So
amazing.
That in terms, because you asked me a very good question, which is, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And my answer is it's the chicken first and then the egg second. In other words, there are people out there who believe you go out and raise money without having a specific project identified. I don't agree with that. Because I think they'll end up with the same kind of experience that you've had, which is zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least that's my
leads.
Okay. I don't know if you know the name Dave Dubo. Dave Dubo is a real estate coach based in British Columbia. A nice guy, a really smart guy. He believes in raising money just
willy-nilly.
Hey, I'm a nice guy. My name is John Loong. I'm a super great guy. I'm super smart. I'm super handsome. You should give me money. To me, that's a very weak pitch. And if I were an investor, I would go, next. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just don't believe. I've told Dave this. I'm not telling you anything I haven't told Dave directly, but he teaches something different, and I guess to each his own. But I wouldn't teach that, and I wouldn't engage in that.
Okay.
Here's why. Let's say you identified a parcel, and I'll show you one of the ones I did for Alex's brother, another young man I coach.
Okay.
And his name is Chris Loong, okay? I'll show you this one. Yeah, here it is here. Wow. So
This is long yards.
yes, it's long yards, exactly. Very good. So I think I named it too. You know,
Oh yeah.
I love Chris. But when we bought this parcel, it's about 10 acres, just under 10 acres. You can see it's long and skinny, right?
Long and skinny. Yeah.
And his name is Chris Long.
Long. Yeah.
Great contractor yards, which you can see here on the screen here. So I said, why don't you call it long yards? And he said, that's great. Now he has, I think, 4 or 5 of them. He's got, I think, 2 in Florida, 1 in Texas, 1 in North Carolina. Obviously, this one's in Ottawa. So I think he has 5, maybe 6 now. So this is about 9 or 10 acres, and it was zoned industrial. And Chris was a young carpenter. I think you know the story, right?
Yeah, I read about his story. Yeah.
Well, I'll just summarize it.
Sure. Sure.
For the video.
Yeah.
Chris was a young carpenter. He was a single parent bringing up a daughter, and he was very young, in his 20s, and he was a carpenter and making a living, but not much more than a living. And I said to Chris, you know, you ought to buy this and convert it into contractor yards. And he said, well, how much is it? So this is about 9.6 acres, and they were asking $475,000 for it total. You couldn't get that today, I can tell you.
Yeah, there's no way. That's really cheap.
It's
Yeah.
really cheap. But I said, I think it's going to be a fantastic investment for you, Chris. And he said, well, I don't have $475,000, right? And I said, I know that. So the 2 fellows who own this, they were from Syria, and Syria was going through a terrible civil war. It was just awful. I mean, it was awful. And so the fellows had to sell this, you know, to help their families back in Syria. And so I said to them, look, Chris will buy it, but he only has 50 grand. Would 50,000 help you? Could you give him a seller take back mortgage or vendor take back mortgage for the rest? You know what a vendor take back
Yes,
is.
sir. Yes. Yes.
So that's another form of bootstrap capital, right? So they said, well, sure, we'll sell it to him we'll take his 50,000 in cash, and we'll give him a seller take back mortgage of, you know, 425,000. So about 90% of it was financed by the guys from Syria. And then Chris had to go out and borrow $1.2 million from a Dutch family who liked him. And they didn't, it wasn't cheap money. It was 10 or 11% money. So with $50,000, Chris bought this thing, borrowed 1.2 million and gravelled it and fenced it. And he leased out all of the yards, or leased, or most of them are leased. And then 3 years after he bought it, he had it appraised and the appraisal came back at 3.6 million.
Wow, dude, that's wild, man.
That is wild. So what he did was he had about $1.7 million into the property, you know, virtually 95% borrowed money. And then he got a $3.6 million appraisal, and BDC came in with a $2.2 million mortgage at much lower rates. And he calls me up and he said, Bruce, can you imagine me, a carpenter was making $17 an hour 3 years ago, a millionaire? And I said, yeah, of course, you worked for it. And now I
what
know,
a story.
It's a great story.
Wow.
So now Alex is the older brother. He sees what Chris has done. He said, to hell with that, I'm going to do it.
Me too. Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, that's, you know, so,
wow, man.
so the reason I show you this is there are more ways to finance real estate than maybe most people are thinking about. Most people are thinking about, like you are, establishing a limited partnership, you know, LP, GP, general partner, limited partner, selling a bunch of units to investors. But right now, and I think I've said this to you before, when you go and talk to people about investing in real estate, it's like going into a movie theater and yelling fire. Everybody runs out. Real estate right now has got a terrible smell about it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you've been through the wars, you know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the reason I tell you about alternatives, I like what Alex has done, where you can buy a property like he has, and what my young client in Collingwood has done, where you can buy a property a little bigger than you need, and you can sell off, one or two or three pieces of it.
I like
And
that idea.
you end up with your land basically free or actually making a profit.
Yeah. Yeah, prior to reaching out to you, Dr. Bruce, that was the idea was to raise capital and buy and hold. But since reading a lot of your material and reading some of these case studies and even just on our initial call with your client Armin, I've thought a lot more about and even started looking at with one or two realtors since that call, just very small parcels of land zoned for industrial, small Ontario towns, right? Like population size 10,000 and unfortunately less. And just building small bay warehousing, right? Selling one or two, like you said, give the investors some earlier wins, and then keeping one or two for new pension for the GPLP. And then once you have a couple of those, right? Then I think the chicken looks a lot better, a little more well fed, right?
Exactly. So let me go back to Alex's story now. All right, just give me a sec here. I'll go
Yeah.
other screen. So this is Alex's property again. So this is the 12 or 13 acres that he's retaining, okay? And right now he's taking it through a site plan. You know what a site plan is, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
In small towns, it's a little easier than it is, say, in Toronto or Ottawa. A site plan in Ottawa can take 1 or 2 or even 3 years to get through. It's quite a long process.
Yeah.
And I bet you it's no different in Toronto.
Yeah. Oh, it's just as bad.
It's just as bad. But,
Yeah.
I'm doing one in Smith Falls right now. And
Yeah.
that's about a 3 or 4 month process,
Okay.
which
Okay.
is much better.
Okay.
That and the cost in Smith Falls will probably be about $15,000 for the site plan. The cost for that same site plan in Ottawa would be 300 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, it's expensive.
What?
Yes.
Wow,
I
man.
kid you not, John. It would probably take. I just did a site plan application for a veterinarian. He's building I was his development manager. He's building a 5,400 square foot slab on grade vet clinic. Beautiful clinic, but it's a tiny building.
Yeah, 5,400. Yeah.
5,400. Well, it's all he needs for his practice, and it's on a 2 acre site, and the zoning is there and all the rest. We didn't have to do rezoning. Took 3 years and just over $300 in studies in Ottawa.
What? For the site? Oh my goodness. That makes me sick.
$300,000 in studies.
$300,000 in studies for a
300,000
5,400 square foot slab on grade building.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Now he's a wealthy guy, and he's really doing it for his son. Like his name is Ange. Ange is he's in his 60s now, and his son Robert is also a vet, and his son is like probably your age or a little bit older. So he really is building the clinic so his son doesn't have to be a tenant for the rest of his career. All right, and I respect that, and we've got him through the process. But I warned him about it. He said, "Oh, we could do it in a year." I said, "Who told you that?" And the planner said that, and I said, "No, I don't think so." I thought it would take 2 years. I did not think it would take 3.
Oh my, that makes me sick.
And I thought it would cost about 200 grand. It ended up $300,000, 3 years, but we got it. But this is a lifetime investment for his son, right? But that's not really something I want you to get involved with, right? So Alex was able to do the severances in about 4 months, and then perfect the severance, and then he sold one lot, and the other one I'm sure will sell hopefully this summer or the fall. But this site plan here in Rockland is about a 10 or 12-month process, and will probably end up costing Alex, because Rockland has more rules than most small towns. This will probably cost Alex about 100 grand. So you can see these are mini storage buildings, very typical mini storage buildings that you see everywhere. These are a little bit different. Can you see these squares?
Yep.
These are small workshops.
Small workshops.
And these are contractor yards down here. The bigger rectangles here. These are contractor yards or parking spaces. These are workshops. These are mini office buildings. And this is a 1 acre site where he is going to operate something called, or something similar to Earth Depot. What is
transfer station? It's like a transfer station.
No, it's like that's a good guess, but it's not a transfer station. What it is it's a place where you can go get less than a truckload of gravel, sand, decorative stone, pavers, stuff that small landscapers and individual homeowners need.
Okay.
So if you were a
Bulk
giant
sale.
landscaping company, you don't come here. But if you just need, a trailer full of pavers, like patio stones, or you need some decorative stone for your garden, you come to a place like that. It's a very profitable business. So this will have an operating business here, similar to Earth Depot. It'll have a bunch of workshops here, a bunch of mini storage here, and parking and contractor yards here. It's a very good plan. This thing will make Alex even more money than his brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that.
Okay. So what I was getting at is, let's say you did an Alex Loong, say. The amount of money you need to raise is vastly different than if you bought one of those. I looked at your spreadsheet in those different places. I looked at Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah.
What was the price on the warehouse there?
It was probably, I don't remember, but it was huge. It was big.
10 or 11 million bucks.
Yeah.
Right. So you and I will be a lot older before John raises 10 or 11 million dollars to buy a warehouse in North Carolina. Whereas if you did a Chris Loong and you found an industrial property that you and I liked, and by the way, as your coach, I don't want you to buy anything without talking to me first.
Okay.
All right.
Yes,
you make the decisions, obviously, but I will certainly have some input if you.
Yes, sir. Please. Yes, of course.
So if you did a Chris Loong and you found a nice piece of property somewhere that you liked, industrial, and you were going to buy it for $500,000, and they were going to give you 90% financing, and you only needed 50 grand. I know you can find 50 grand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a vastly different, that's why I say find the property first, because then you can define the quanta of financing that you actually need. Understand?
I understand, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And if you did an Alex Loong as opposed to Chris Loong, if you did an Alex Loong, you'd have to find $675,000 to buy the property. I get that's quite a bit of money still, but by the time you sold off two pieces, you wouldn't need any financing over a period of about a year. All right. So it's my opinion, John, that you identify the property first, and then the two of us can define what is the quantum of financing we're looking for, and then we can decide where that's coming from. Is it coming from a seller take back mortgage? Is it coming from severances? Is it coming from investors? Are we going to do a limited partnership, or are we just going to have a corporation? But I think all of those decisions about financing come after you know which property you're going to buy.
Sounds good.
And obviously you need it's not like buying a house. You need a due diligence period of 6 or 8 or 10 weeks, right? By the time you do your environmental phase 1, by the time you check the zoning, by the time you talk to the city or the town or the township or the region or the county, by the time you've done all of your spreadsheets, you need much longer. And if somebody says to you, well, I'm only going to give you a 2-week conditional period, you say, you know what, keep your land. Keep it. I'll make an offer on something else.
Dr. Bruce, about like the site plan, right? Like if we go ahead and just select a site and we really like it and it has all the right zonings and we want to do all these amazing things to the site, uh, what like I've never done a site plan before ever. Like I've coordinated that for work as an asset manager, but I've never really went through the process of doing all that due diligence. Like, am I going to be able to get financing for that? Am I able to get like a construction loan on that?
So, so if you did an Alex Long, what you would probably do is, you would buy a site and apply for 2 severances, and at the same time put them on MLS and sell off a couple of pieces you don't
At
need
the same time.
at the
At
same
the same at the same time.
and so, I mean, Alex just got a check for 500 grand. That helps pay for his
Yeah, for sure.
it does,
Yeah.
and his site plan will cost him 100 grand, not 300,000. In the case of the doctor, the vet I talked about a moment ago, he just funded the $300,000 out of his petty cash, right?
Sure, yeah, of
He's a very
course.
wealthy guy, and he just paid for it. But for most of us, including your poor professor, we have to be more careful than that, right? And we have to be more creative than that. So yes, when it comes to site plan, I don't know how many of them I've done, but between me and my clients, it would be in the hundreds. And you're going to need a good planner and a good engineer and hopefully a good coach. And we'll work through it together, right? But there's another twist on this thing that I haven't yet
Okay.
added. So today I would approach things a little differently. I was happy to help Alex with what he did. It went really great. I was happy to help Chris Long with what he did. It went really great. But if I was looking for something today, I'll just share my screen with you. I think the model would be a little different today. I'll just boot up a drawing here. All right, so you can see my screen. It's just a
Yes,
drawing.
sir. Yep.
So this is what when you're talking to your realtors, this is what I would be looking for today. Okay, because this is much faster to get into the business, if you will. So this is a main road here, the thing in black, and then here's a nice big parcel that you can buy. Okay. All right, so this is the road down here, and this is the parcel. And I just did a transaction like this with one of my clients. All right. And what we did was we did very similar to what Alex did. We did 2 severances like this.
With frontage.
Yeah, the frontage, because again, he doesn't need it, right? This is again for contractor yards. So he had parcel A here and parcel B here that he severed off, and then he kept this T-shaped thing, right? So it has frontage on the road, and you could come in here and you got all the things. But there was one difference, and that was there was an existing building back here. And that was really, really important. It had an existing building there, and it actually had a house on the property as well, right about here. I don't know if I got it right. And so this was an old warehouse, and this was a 3-bedroom home in terrible condition, but it was still there. And so what he did was, and what we did with this particular property was he cut this thing up. I'll just go and another color here. He cut this thing up into but I'm just fooling around. I mean, these are not the actual.
Yeah, of course.
He cut these things up into small workshops. I love the small workshops, right? And so what he did was he rented out this house to an on-site manager, and he rented out these workshops, and without any site plan whatsoever, he started parking. I'll do it in gray. He started just parking boats and RVs and other things here. Okay.
He wasn't worried about the zoning?
No, the zoning is correct for it.
Okay, zoning is correct for it.
But he did
Gotcha.
not have a site plan.
He did not have a site plan. Okay,
Did not.
gotcha,
Because
gotcha.
this is in Ottawa, and I told them to get a site plan on this site will be between $200,000 and $300,000. It will take 3 years. So I said, what I would do, and again, this is just me, and I can't coach people to disobey the law, but I could say if I owned it, I would have no hesitation whatsoever between renting this out. It's already an existing warehouse,
Yeah.
renting this out. And if people want to park their RVs or their boats or their trailers or their semis, their trucks, their tractors, their trailers, their excavators, just let them park. So there's no construction on here whatsoever, right? It's just
Yes.
it was already a gravel site.
Mm-hmm.
And he built about $25,000 a month in cash flow that way.
What?
Yes, without the site plan.
25,000 or 2,500?
25,000 a month.
Holy shit!
So the whole site here was
crazy.
18 acres. He severed off. This is obviously not to scale. He severed off, I think, 3.5 acres here and 3.5 acres here, very similar to what Alex did. So he was left with probably about the same size site, about 13 acres. And he just let people park their equipment here. Like you cannot put your loader in your driveway in Toronto suburb. The bylaw officers will be calling you up or knocking on your door within a couple of days.
That's right.
You might be able to get away with it overnight, but probably not. Your neighbors will rat you out.
Yeah. That's right.
And they don't want the big semis, the big trucks, the tractors, the trailers in suburban neighborhoods. So they've got to park them somewhere. And he ended up with his very first client was a bus company who had, I think, 10 or 12 buses.
Amazing.
They paid like $200 a month per bus. And
amazing.
10 or 12 of them, right? That was
amazing.
And he asked me, do you think I should do it? I said, well, I can't coach you to do it because if you call the city of Ottawa and you talk to the planning department, they'll say, oh, you can't do that without a site plan. I said, how many people, do you know that in site plan in Ottawa, your site plan has to show the location of every sea can. You know what a sea container is, right?
No. Oh, sea container. Okay. Yeah.
They call them sea cans, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So every sea container has to be shown on your site plan. I said, that is ridiculous. Let's say you and I were in the shipping, business. We could have on a site like this, we could have probably 500 sea cans this month. And next month, if they're all out working for us, there could be 10. And you're supposed to actually revise your site plan every time a sea can comes and goes.
What?
The city of Ottawa is like these people are literally out of their minds because you couldn't operate any industrial business. Let's say we were doing a manufacturing business. We have things coming in, inventory coming in. We have to process that somehow. There's no way you can adjust your site plan with the city every time a sea can comes in or out. That is a requirement of the site plan. Nobody pays any attention to that. Even the city doesn't pay any attention to that. But legally, you're supposed to, right? So if it was a choice, if as an entrepreneur, as a poor professor, if it's my choice between making $25,000 a month for the next 2 years or spending $200,000 or $300,000 waiting on a site plan approval before I could get my first dollar of revenue, I would say no way to that.
Yeah.
All right. I'll show you one more while we're here.
Sure.
All right. That's what I meant, John, when I talked to you about getting the business model right. Maybe I have maybe I have it here. Hang on a second. Let me just see if I've got that here. Yeah, I've got actually a slide deck here. I'll show you one more, okay?
Yes, please.
So what I think you should ask your realtors to find you is they should see if they can find you 5, 10, 15, 20 acres of industrial land with an existing building on it, even if it's, fairly dilapidated, because it'll allow you to get into business much faster. Okay. And
sorry, you just 20 acres? That's a lot. That's a lot of land.
Well, if you could buy it for, $900,000, it's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll show you a couple more. Maybe I've already shown you this one. I don't remember. Oops. Yeah, here it is. But I'll show you this one first. So you need to think through your business model a little bit with me, all right? So this one is owned, this is another one another young person, he would be older than you, he'd be in his 40s now.
Okay.
So this is a company called Just the Spot. And again, they do contractor yards and they do parking and they do mini storage, all the stuff that we've been talking about. And this is the original site plan, John, they all look very similar, right? So again, it's about 13 acres, all right? And it had an existing home on it. And it had room for 22 mini storage buildings. But when my client bought it, it only had the existing house on it and it had one mini storage building. That's all it had, okay?
Yes.
And this was originally owned by a man by the name of Larry Bravar. You can see Larry on the picture here. Larry had hair, he's in his 50s. He had hair down to his, his lower back, and he's a hippie. And he was a really sweet guy. But his main claim to fame was sitting around smoking weed and growing vegetables. That's what he liked to do. And I
Sounds like a good life.
he was a close friend, and I got a kick, but he was a terrible businessman. He liked to grow veggies and like he's a hippie and smoke weed, and he was growing weed, I'm sure, on the property
Oh
before.
yeah. I bet it was great.
So he was growing vegetables, and somewhere on the property he was growing other things. But Larry was a good builder. He built an office here, and then he had a one-bedroom apartment up here. And he built a really nice mini storage building here. So you can see the mini storage building here, and there's the office here and the apartment up there. So what happened next was Larry didn't like the cold weather, so he went to Cuba for a winter, and he met a very pretty young woman there. And the next thing you know, he's back in Canada, back in Ottawa, and he tells me she's pregnant. And she lives in Cuba, and he wants to sell this business. And I said, Larry, I don't think you should sell it. What are you going to do if you sell it? Well, I said, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to move to Cuba because, Cuba's still a communist country. People who live in Cuba are not allowed to leave, right?
Right.
They're trapped there. And he didn't want to risk taking her across the straits to Florida illegally. I mean, a lot of people die doing that, and she was pregnant. So anyway, I didn't want him to sell it, but he decided to sell it, and it was during a recession, and so we sold it to another client of mine. His name was Peter Hodowitz, a young engineer, and Peter bought it for 1.2 million. These are some of the numbers. Oh, I'm sorry, he bought it for 1.3 million, and it was only doing $9,000 a month in revenues, which is nothing. So under Larry's management in 2018, it was making $9,000. But by 2019, Peter's a very good businessman. It was making 25,000 monthly, and today it's over 60 grand.
Wow.
And his cap rate, Peter's cap rate is ridiculous. I don't really like to show this spreadsheet because he bought it cheap because Larry wanted the money so he could run off to Cuba and be with this girl. Anyway, so Larry takes his money, runs off to Cuba. Unfortunately, he develops lung cancer.
Fuck. And he dies?
Does. He was such a nice man. He did not last very long. I don't smoke anything. You probably don't either. Do you smoke cigarettes?
I smoke weed, but like recreationally.
Yeah, I would be careful about smoking too much,
Okay.
Just you should be careful, right? I don't want you to get sick and die. Anyway, Larry didn't make 60, unfortunately. He was a wonderful man, and I miss him. But anyway, he did move to Cuba, and he had a wife and a son, a beautiful boy.
Wow.
But he passed away. He told me when he called me when we were talking when he was in Cuba that he believed in alternative medicine, like a shaman. And I said to him, Larry, that's okay. You can go get faith healing. That's fine. But you should go and see. Cuba has good doctors. Go and see, regular. Oh no, I don't need to. I'm going to live forever. And less than a year later, he had passed away. Anyway, so Peter calls me up about 3 years after he bought it, so maybe 4 years, so 2022. And I never liked this book, the 4-Hour Work Week.
I read it. Yeah, I read it recently, actually.
I think it's garbage, by the way.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know any entrepreneur who works
Well, yeah,
hours a week.
Yeah.
It's just BS. It's just Tim
Yeah.
Ferriss. People say I can teach you how to make $1 million if you send me $1.
yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
You heard that. And if
Yeah.
1 million people send him $1, he's made $1 million.
yeah, yeah,
It's ridiculous.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
but anyway, Peter calls me up, and he's making real money out of this damn thing. And I asked him how many hours a day, and he said, "Well, I can operate this thing. Um, I can operate this thing from my phone." He's an adventurer. He likes to go and do sailboarding and kiteboarding and all kinds of cool stuff. And he says, I work between 3 and 4 hours a day, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty
And I
good.
said, Peter, this is fantastic. Let's go and buy another one. He said, Bruce, I'm good. I'm making, after paying all my bills, I'm making about $35,000 or $40,000 a month. I'm working
Wow.
3 or 4 hours a day. I can operate this thing really pretty much from anywhere in the world. It's pretty much all automated. If you want a storage locker, or you want a parking spot, or you want a contractor yard, you just go online and put your credit card in, you're good to go. He said, why would I want to do any more? He said, I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years, and I'm good. And I said, Peter, you're the first client I've ever had who said, I'm good. And I respect that. Right? I mean, he's perfectly happy with $35,000 or $40,000 a month.
That's not chump change at all.
No, it's great. It's a great
That's
result.
really
But
good. Yeah.
he's such a good operator. I said, you could have 10 of these and you could be making 300,000
Yeah.
or 400,000 a month. He said, I'm not
For
interested.
what? Yeah, absolutely.
I like adventure tours. He goes in those kiteboarding races across the north of Norway in winter
Yeah.
on a snowboard, and it's minus 20. Peter, I'm not coming with you.
Yeah.
Camping outside it when it's minus 20 to me is not.
Yeah, that's not fun. Yeah.
So I do respect what he said, but again, what I think you should look for is an existing mini storage business, which is not doing very well, and has extra land, right? And that's what clients of mine have done all over the States and Canada. It's been a great result.
I'm only worried about the financing, and I understand that there's a VTB, that there are VTBs and bootstrap capital available. I've never, as a former banker, unfortunately, I've never done creative financing like that. Actually, I've done the opposite. It's more like conventional financing. So
yeah, I get that, and there's a role for conventional finance. Yeah, I'm all in favor of that too. But conventional financing is much easier if you have an existing building and you have existing income. That's what I'm saying. So my preference would be for John to with his realtor to find something that's a piece of land with the right zoning on it between 5 and 20 acres that has some existing buildings on it. And if there was enough land that you could sever off a couple of pieces, I'd be cool with that too. And the problem that you're going to face is this, that your realtor, most realtors, look, I'm a realtor too. Most realtors are like everybody else. They're a bit lazy, right? Well, we're all a bit lazy. So what's going to happen is you got to remember, realtors get paid, usually a commission, right? So if they sell you an $11 million building, they're going to make a hell of a lot more money than if they sell you a piece of land in Rockland for $675,000.
Yeah, that's right.
So their incentive is exactly wrong. Are you following me?
I am, absolutely.
So you have to find a realtor that you like and trust and understands that you're not a transaction. that you are a lifetime client.
Mhm.
I do work for clients where I have one client, he had like a 500 square foot store he couldn't lease. And he asked me to list it for him and lease it. So I did. I probably made a commission of, enough to buy a Starbucks coffee. Not very much. And my broker of record said, Bruce, you're the founder of the auto centers. You did a square,
Yeah, what the hell?
500 square
Yeah.
feet. You
Yeah, man.
get a few bucks on the commission. What are you doing? I said, well, he's a good client of mine, and I was happy to help. And I like doing that stuff. And then 2 years later, he wanted to sell the plaza, and I put it up for sale for $3.5 million. Got a bunch of offers on it, and I made, I don't know, $150,000.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, man.
That's why you do it.
Wow.
So you don't view
Yeah.
but most realtors, John, they look at you and say, well, this guy's an idiot. I'm going to sell him an $11 million building in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm going to make a bunch of money. A realtor that you like and trust and understands you're a young person, he might or she might work with you for a long time, says, yeah, I might help John buy a $600,000 or $700,000 or $900,000 site, but if he's successful, he might buy 10 more.
Good.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting through some of your agenda.
No, it's good. I'm really enjoying this conversation.
I am too. And don't forget, we recorded it. So if you do want to watch it again, like I
Sure.
got videos that have 4 views on them, 5 views on them, you and me twice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fine with that. All right. So you asked a couple of other questions, and that is, how do you do industrial leasing? And I do a lot of that. And I'll just give you, I'll just rhyme off a bunch of these things.
Sure, please. Yeah.
So first, people forget, but it's still very useful. And that is, whether you're in the States or in Canada, MLS is still a very useful thing. All right. So industrial leasing, I put almost all of my own industrial property on MLS and my clients as well. The next thing that's really, really coming into its own is Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I use Facebook Marketplace a lot.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's very good.
MLS, certainly for the smaller stuff, Facebook Marketplace. In Canada, Kijiji. In the United States, Craigslist. But there are other sites too that are very good in commercial and industrial. Do you know LoopNet?
Yep.
LoopNet, Crexi?
Yep. I have a CoStar
CoStar.
subscription.
Fabulous. Yeah. CoStar, Zillow, industrialspace.net.
Okay.
That's another good one. I post almost everything to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really great.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then people forget on-site signage. It works.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just, hey, for a lease, on-site signage. And those are the sort of the main things that I do. The other things that I do when I have industrial space is I will do the same thing I did to start my coaching practice. I'll go to a BIA or a Chamber of Commerce and put an ad in, say, hey, I've got some industrial space if you're interested.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. So those are those kinds of things that I think are very useful in marketing. All right, let's see what else we have here. We've done that one. I should show you one other industrial model that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very successful. And it's a riff on all the other stuff that we've been doing today. Yeah, here it is. So I have a client in Waterloo, and his name is Shaddilac.
Yeah, he told me about Shaddy.
I think I did.
Yeah.
And this is another model that we've talked about, the Shaddilac Cadillac thing.
Yep.
I just wanted to remind you again that even in a very hot market like Waterloo, this building, this 80,000 square foot substandard industrial building, was available for sale for $1.2 million. Do you remember that?
I remember that. Yep.
And here's why. It had the substandard ceiling height. It had the columns down the middle, so it wasn't column free. Then he turned it into these micro workshops, which is fantastically successful and in demand. And you know, here were the drawings that we showed, or I showed. Here is the construction literally 4 or 5 days after he acquired the property. And this was a life-changing thing for him. So when you are talking to your realtors, you know, you can look for industrial land with nothing on it. You can look for industrial land with an existing building on it, right? Even if it's in fairly poor shape. You can look for an industrial building that no one else wants because, you know, it's just substandard, right?
Irregular lot.
Irregular lot, but also, you know, not enough ceiling height, narrow
Okay.
and skinny. But these small workshops, I just rented another one of my workshops to a guy who he pimps motorcycles. You know, Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, for sure, for
He's
sure.
a wonderful young man, and he rides a nice motorcycle, and he's got the tattoos and all the rest of it. But people come to him with their bikes, and he'll do. He's an artist. He'll create these fabulous designs on their motorbikes, right? You know, big ones, little ones, old guys, young guys, whatever. So there's just an unlimited demand for these small workshops, at least in my experience.
Now, when you go ahead and purchase, let's say, a building that's nice and long and skinny, and you demise it,
Yep.
can you sell each of those units, like the process of demising that building, and then
Could you make a condo out of it?
condominiumize? Exactly. Yeah.
Could you? I hadn't thought of that, but I suspect you probably could. But that's quite a long process. You know, you have to survey the building inside, and you have to meet you know, obviously different standards, right? So I think it would be faster and cheaper just to demise it and lease it out. And you know, his cash flow, Shaddy's cash flow on that thing is so fantastic that he'll never sell that thing.
He'll never sell it.
He'll never sell. But you know, he refinanced, and I think he pulled out $7 million of cash.
Wow, what? That is crazy.
I think I showed you that.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, it was just insane, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and did I show you the one that we did on Akins Road?
No.
Oh,
No.
I thought I did. Here's another one we did. And you know, this will help you as well. This one is not in Waterloo. This is again in Ottawa. And this one, John, is this is an 18,000 square foot warehouse. And again, very substandard. You know, it's got like 10-foot or 11-foot ceiling height. Again, most industrial users want a minimum of 22 feet, and Amazon wants 60. So it had an 18,000 square foot a warehouse here. It had 2 coverall buildings. These are coverall buildings here. That's a large overhead door. And you can just sort of see back here in behind, it had an old farmhouse. Right? And so what my clients did was they bought this thing. I don't know if I told you this, but they bought this thing for, it was like some ridiculous amount of money. I think it was like $250,000 or $275,000. It's
Wow.
2 acres of industrial land with all these buildings on it.
Wow.
And the seller was asking $1 million for it, and as their realtor, we offered $250,000. And the president of the company kicked me out of his office. He said,
Yeah.
"No way, no way.
Fuck out. Get the fuck out.
Basically, get the F out of here." But the problem was nobody else wanted this because it's substandard. Like, investors look at that and say, well, you're never going to find an 18,000 square foot industrial user who wants a substandard building like this. But my clients understood the small workshop model. And so I waited another 3 months. It was still on the market. I went back to the president again. I said, have you sold it? He said, no. I said, look, you're paying property taxes on it. It's empty. You know, you're a very big company now. You don't really need it. You're having to maintain it and repair it and worry about whether it gets vandalized because it's vacant. Sell it to my clients. You take the $250,000, and I think it was either $250,000 or $275,000. He accepted that.
Wow.
But it took a few months. So what they did, what my clients did was they demised it, as you can see here, into small workshops. So this one here is a tech prototyping company. Is actually one of my clients here.
Wow. Wow.
This group over here is a carpenter. This is one of the owners here, Warren. You can see that we put in corridors that are quite big so that people could come in with overhead doors and forklifts. This is you know, obviously the aerial view. That's the warehouse. That's the Quonset hut. We leased the farmhouse to an environmental company, and we leased this to a landscaper, and this one went to a parking lot maintenance group, and then we had, I don't know how many, you know, small users in here. Yeah, so it was bought by my clients for $250 in 2016. And they paid some land transfer tax, legals. They did some renos to the main building, renos to the farmhouse. So they ended up with about a $550,000 cost. And their cap rate ended up about 36%.
Wow.
And what happened was they bought it.
Yeah, man, that's insane, dude. What the heck?
And you know, it was appraised, I think in
That's insane,
2021
dude.
for about
That's
$2.5 million.
that's insane.
Yeah.
And
So, you
where is
know,
this? Sorry, coach. Where is this?
that was, oh, I'll show you. I'll actually show you on the map here. Give me a second here. It was in Canada.
Okay.
Akins Road in Canada. And you're going to laugh at this when I show you. I'll just go to the aerial, sorry, this view here. Yeah, here it is here. Oops, sorry. I'll go to the street view. And I'll share this with you. So this is now Google Maps, and you can see here's my sign.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Love it.
It says Bruce Forrest on it.
Yeah, man.
All right, now look around here, okay? What do you see?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Empty.
Nothing. It's literally in the middle of.
Wow, man.
Look at that.
Wow.
Okay?
Look at that.
Nothing, right? And we're going to come all the way around.
Wow, man.
And I don't have to tell you that appraisers, when they look at this, they base their commercial appraisals on income and net operating income. You know that, right? So they just looked at the income. They said, "Wow, the income on this property is ridiculous," and they gave. And by 2021, it was, I think, valued at $2.5 million. Today, it would be valued well over $3 million.
Coach, you're not worried at all about the absorption, about like how it's like pretty much so super remote, you know,
So,
like
okay, I'll tell you why I'm not worried about it. Okay, so now we're on the satellite view. So here, I'll just go in a little closer. So this is the property.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we're going to pan out. Still nothing, right?
Yeah, still nothing. Still nothing. No.
Nothing. Oh, wait a second. Okay, now look at this. This is Barrhaven in the south end of Ottawa. Population about 120,000. This is
Okay.
Stittsville and Canada. Population probably closer to 200,000. From Akins Road to Canada, or from Akins Road to Barrhaven, is probably between 8 and 15 minutes. Now, here's the deal, okay? Here's the deal. If, let's say you had a side hustle, I don't know what it is, you make soap in your handmade soap in your
Okay.
Okay, I actually have one of my workshops is rented to a woman who makes handmade soap.
Okay.
And you know, so you're making handmade soaps in your garage, and you can't park your car in there. And you got product coming in and out. You got your living room and your dining room is overrun. Your basement is overrun by your business. What happens is often the spouse kicks you out and says, "Honey, you got to get your side hustle the hell out of this house. I want to be able to park my car in the garage. I want to be able to have my living room and dining room back, and I want to fix it again, right?
My wife would say that, yeah.
Your wife might say that.
Yeah.
My wife would say that. And so they kick you out of the house. Where the hell are you going to go? You're going to find a workshop. And will you drive 8 or 12 or 15 minutes to a workshop? The answer I've found is yes. I have one young man, he's fabulous. His name is Abed. He has one of my workshops. It's about 3,000 square feet. And maybe not that much, probably 2,000 square feet. And he pays about $4,000 a month for that. And he drives 45 minutes to come to this workshop. And I said, oh, but he's a wonderful young man. You have to drive 45 minutes to come here and 45 minutes home. Why the hell do you do it? He said, because there are no workshops for people with this scale of business where I live. None.
He drives, you said 45 minutes?
45 minutes to get to his workshop every day and 45 minutes home. Right. So when I got into this space, which is going back, well, 2016, 8 years ago, when I got into the space, I told everybody, you want to be 8, 10, 12, maybe 15 minutes from a major population center. But it turns out that this is a very overlooked marketplace. And people will drive, at least Abed will, 45 minutes. And you know, the young man who just leased a workshop from me, he for pimping motorcycles, he lives in downtown Ottawa. This particular building I own is about 40 minutes away, 35 minutes away in the rural area of Ottawa. And so he's doing a 35-minute drive. Abed is doing a 45-minute drive. You know, that's extraordinary. So I'm not worried about it, but I can understand you know, why some people might think, well, obviously that thing that I showed you on Akins Road in Canada had been for sale for 1.5 years.
Wow, look at it now.
Oh, it's unbelievable now.
Yeah, yeah.
That industrial building that I bought, which is not very big, it's only about 4,000 or 4,500 square feet. It has some extra land where I've got, you know, mini storage and other things going on there, but I think it's 12 acres in total. I bought there were 2 pieces. There was a 4-acre parcel with an existing building on it, and there was an 8-acre parcel next to it. I bought, believe it or not, that 8-acre parcel in the rural Ottawa for $8,000.
What?
Yeah, $1,000 an acre. Nobody else
Whoa.
wanted it. And I bought the 4 acres with the 4,000 square foot industrial building for $245,000. So between the two of them, I got about, I don't know, $260,000 invested, and then I upgraded it. I mean, I invested a significant amount in services. So my cost on the project is about $900,000, but it was recently appraised at 2.1 million. So I'm quite happy with that project.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you know, the problem that you're going to face is you yourself or your realtors are going to look for these deals. You're going to look on MLS and LoopNet and Crexy and all these others, and you're not going to find something in 5 minutes, and you're going to say, "Oh, Bruce is just talking shit." The fact is, I know what I'm talking about, and you have to really work at it to find the opportunity. My dad, if he were alive today, John, he would like you, and he would say to you, John, now it was not politically correct, but
sure, please, yeah.
My dad would say, Bruce, real estate is like women. And I said, well, you know, as a young man, I said, like girls? He said, yeah. He said, you see 100 girls, you let 99 of them go.
Yeah.
When you see the right one, you snap her up.
That's
That was politically incorrect. I couldn't say that.
No, please. Oh, come on.
But he didn't mean it in a negative. You know, you don't marry the first girl you ask prom, right? And you know, you look for the right one. So this is something that's on you, John. You have to educate your realtors, and you're more than welcome to invite a realtor onto this call, and we can educate together. And if you want to share parts of this video or all of this video with one of your realtors, you feel free to do it. It's your video, right? Just don't post it anywhere.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
But if you want to educate somebody, they could watch this video. It's a long video now. It's almost, but you know, they'll learn something. Right? So, but this is on you. You have to say, I'm going to look at 100 properties. Hopefully you don't have to look at 100, but I'll look at 30 before I find the one that's right for me.
Dr. Bruce, before I let you go, I know we're running close to time, but I do have one kind of a big question here. So
Sure.
I sent you my personal balance sheet,
Yes.
and I have a duplex
Oh,
out in the GTA, and it's coming up for refinance.
Yep.
And actually, coincidentally, all the tenants want to move out.
Wow.
Yeah, all the tenants want to move out. Just by coincidence, really. Like, there's no problems with the property. I actually just recently renovated it.
Wow.
Because just some circumstance. But I can have the property vacant by October, and I was wondering,
Is
at
it
all.
this here?
It's the one on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mine. Yeah, that one.
Yep.
On the corner.
Yep.
Now, do you think I should sell it at all just to give me some cash flow, or what do you think here?
I'm
'Cause I
just
think,
looking, I'm trying to figure it out myself here.
yeah, I know it's
You
kind
can't
of
really
weird.
get it
I
exactly.
know, yeah, I know. It's kind of weird.
So it's a duplex?
It's a duplex. I have a guy in the I have working guys in the basement and 4 working guys on the top floor. You see all the cars there? That's all of their cars.
Yeah. And so this is yours here, right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Is there a basement?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And what's going on in the basement?
It's rented to 2 working professionals.
Okay, so how does the duplex work? Is there like is it a triplex or is it a duplex?
It's a duplex. So if you go to the side on your left, just
Yeah,
click. Yeah, click there. Yeah, click there. Yeah, so there's a egress there. That's the main egress, and then
yeah.
there's a separate entrance in the backyard that you won't be able to see.
So the people upstairs have the ground floor and the second floor,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
in the basement there's a flat.
Flat with 2 more guys. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think this thing is worth?
I think conservatively, I could sell it for 800, mostly because it's fully up. I just put in like 40 grand into the
Yeah.
renovation. I did a bunch of changes.
And you bought it for
540. I bought it for 540, but I had a tenant that didn't pay me rent for 18 months. And
wow.
that really fucked me over. I mean, like, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that, but that really messed me up
Don't worry about
earlier
that.
on.
Yep.
That really messed me up earlier on when I was 24, 25, when I first bought the place. So I've since removed them and had to redo the entire place. And
So you would clear less commission, 260 less commission, right?
260 less commission, exactly.
And what would you do with that money?
I guess put it into a lot of what we were speaking about today.
So what I think I would do, John, is when is it becoming vacant?
October,
October 1st or something?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks decent inside?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
recently redid everything.
And would it appeal to a sitting owner, somebody who could live there and then rent out the basement so they have a little bit of extra income?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
So I think that, maybe what you could do is you could say, look, I'm going to change this to,
Give me 1 second. My Roomba just started. It's going to be really, really loud. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that.
no problem. So I'm just putting some numbers together here for you. So I think because you can give vacant possession in October, I would put the price up to 845.5. I like fives ever since Canada got rid of the penny. People, it used to be advertise something for $9.99, John.
Yeah.
It's $9.95.
Yeah.
Or $20. It's now $19.95, not $19.99. So I do the same thing with pricing. So I love the fives. So
Okay.
I would put it because and I would say to my realtor, look, this is an opportunity for somebody to live upstairs in a nice, beautiful place. And make,
Exactly.
how much money do you get for the downstairs apartment, or could you get for the downstairs apartment?
Right now, I currently get 1,400 a month.
And if you think if it's vacant, you can do better than that?
No, I think that's the max.
Okay, so it's 1,400 a month, right?
Yeah.
And it's a 2-bedroom basement?
It's a 1-bedroom basement.
Oh, it's 1 bedroom. Okay. All right. So, you know, think about this. If somebody buys it for 845 and they have an 80% loan to value mortgage, okay? We'll just say
Yeah.
that. So
Yes.
it equals 80% times this guy here, right?
Correct.
And what kind of mortgage rate could they get if they have a decent credit score?
I'd say like 4.5%.
Let's say 5% just for the hell of it. And how long would the,
No, I would say like 4.7.
all right, we'll say 4.7. All right.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll put in a 25-year amortization,
Sure. Sure.
right? All right, so the payments would be the rate is 4.7, number of periods is 25, the present value is this, future value is 0, and it's Canadian mortgage, so that would be your payments, right?
Yeah.
And your rent from the downstairs would be times 12, so it'd be about this. So your effect, I mean, this is very approximate, right?
Yeah.
So this would be your monthly payments,
Yeah.
let's see what it comes out to. Equals this divided by 12. So for about $2,500 a month, plus whatever else you have to pay, your property taxes, et cetera, you can have your own 3-bedroom house. That's pretty good, I think, these days.
Yeah.
I mean, what would it cost to rent this place, just the whole thing?
Right now the whole thing I'm getting 4,200.
Yeah. So, for a young person, to be able to live there. One of my daughters has exactly this condition. She has a beautiful 3-bedroom house, and she has a 1-bedroom basement.
Yeah.
She does better though. I'm gonna put 1,600 in here.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, this is Brampton, right?
Yeah, Brampton. Right.
Yeah, I think you can get 60. My daughter gets $1,600. So, those numbers look relatively attractive. So I think you would put it up for sale.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just gonna stop sharing. Just because, John, you can take this $200,000 or $300,000 and you can put it into something that maybe has a 15 or 20% cap rate. This wouldn't have a 20% cap rate. Do you know what your cap rate is on it now?
I mean, I could calculate it,
Well,
but
have you got your
it'd probably be around like.
We'll do it together. Hang on. Take $4,200 multiplied by 12.
Yeah. Subtract all my expenses.
Now forget the expenses. Just go $4,200 times 12.
5,400.
And now multiply that by 0.66. We're going to assume that 34% goes out the window for all the OPEX. What do you get?
33,600.
And divide that by what we're asking, 845,500.
For cap.
Yeah. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to take $300,000 out of this building, or 250,000, and put it into something that hopefully when we finish, we'll have a 13, 15, 20% cap rate.
Exactly.
So go from an effective 4% cap rate to maybe, multiples of that. That's what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
So that's what you should do. I'm going to send you that spreadsheet that I just revised your personal balance sheet.
Yep. Yep.
And you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
On Mr. Excel and some other stuff. And I want you to think about your business model. I want you to think about educating your realtors, because you're going to go down multiple tracks here, okay? And think about the differentiated value we talked about, maybe adding the PAAN model, PAAN reports to your model, and maybe adding a mortgage broker license. That's a very, very powerful additional value add, okay?
Very good. Thank you so
All right.
much, Dr.
This
Bruce.
was, I think, a good first session, John.
Yeah. So I suppose the next time we meet, so these are monthly meetings.
These are monthly meetings, but I expect in the next 2 weeks, a mid-month report from you.
Okay. Yep.
And I want, I want a full update. What have you done on Mr. Excel? What have you done in terms of your real estate business model? What have you done in terms of educating your realtors? What have you done in terms of getting this house sold or the duplex sold?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got to integrate me into, if you have a Facebook page you want me to look at, or you have a landing page, right?
Yes. Yes.
You got to integrate me, okay? Because that's the way you get most value out of it, and I have more fun that way too.
Good.
All right?
I don't want to have to bother you. I know you have a
You're
ton
not
of
bothering
clients.
me at all. If the house is burning down, you're allowed to call me.
Okay.
But I can handle the emails a lot better.
Okay.
I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate
Okay.
it, sir.
It was
Okay.
really fun, John.
Yeah.